Rain poured over the small city that night, turning the cracked streets into shimmering ribbons of reflection. In a dimly lit apartment on the edge of town, a little girl sat cross-legged beside a worn-out table, her bright eyes fixed on a hand-drawn birthday card. The card had glitter made of salt, colored with broken crayons, and a shaky, "Happy Birthday, Mommy," written in big, uneven letters. Across from her sat her mother, Sarah, staring at her empty wallet as tears silently gathered in her eyes. Rent was due tomorrow, the electricity bill lay unpaid, and her daughter's 6th birthday was just hours away. On the shelf, an old doll missing an arm sat beside a handmade cake made from leftover flour and sugar. Sarah looked at her sleeping daughter that night and whispered the words that broke her heart. "I can't afford a Barbie for your birthday, baby. I'm so sorry." If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love even in the darkest times, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive and reminds the world that compassion still matters. Sarah had never imagined her life turning out this way. Once, she had dreams of owning her own bakery, of building a warm home filled with laughter and light. But dreams, she learned, had a cruel way of fading when reality hits hard. After her husband walked out one winter morning, leaving her with debts and a newborn, she'd been forced to take whatever work she could find, cleaning offices at night and waitressing by day. Every morning she left her daughter, Emma, with a neighbor, promising to bring home something nice, though most nights she returned with only a tired smile and a stale piece of bread. On Emma's birthday morning, the sky was still gray, and so was Sarah's heart. She dressed her daughter in a hand-me-down pink dress that was a size too small. Emma didn't seem to mind. She twirled and giggled, her curls bouncing as she hugged her mother tightly. "It's okay, Mommy," she said in her innocent little voice. "You don't have to buy me a Barbie. I'll make one with paper." Those words, spoken with such pure love, pierced Sarah's heart deeper than any knife could. How could a child be so understanding when the world was so cruel to them both? Later that day, after dropping Emma at school, Sarah hurried to her cleaning job at a tall glass building downtown, a place filled with people who never noticed her presence. She moved quietly between desks, wiping fingerprints from expensive tables, emptying trash cans filled with half-eaten lunches, and polishing marble floors that gleamed brighter than her future. The office belonged to a massive corporation known for its luxury brand, Elliott & Co., a name that meant success, power, and everything she didn't have. But that day was different. As she cleaned the conference room, a tall man in a crisp suit walked in unexpectedly. His presence filled the space with quiet authority. His name was Andrew Elliott, the CEO himself. She froze, clutching her mop like a shield. He looked at her for a moment, not with disdain, but with curiosity. Her hands trembled as she apologized for being in the way. He simply nodded and motioned for her to continue. But as she turned to leave, a small folded paper fell from her pocket, Emma's birthday card. Andrew picked it up before she could. On the front was a childish drawing of a woman with a crown of hearts, labeled "My Mommy, My Hero." He looked up, surprised. Sarah's face flushed red as she tried to explain. She told him it was her daughter's birthday, that she couldn't afford much, and that she was sorry for dropping personal items at work. Her voice cracked when she mentioned the Barbie doll she couldn't buy. Andrew didn't say anything. He simply nodded, thanked her for her hard work, and let her go. She thought that was the end of it. But sometimes, fate listens when hearts whisper. That night when Sarah returned home, she noticed a small pink box on her doorstep wrapped in golden ribbon. She looked around, but no one was there. Inside was a brand new Barbie, not just any Barbie, but the Dreamhouse edition that every little girl dreamed of. Along with it was a note written in elegant handwriting. "For Emma, from someone who believes every child deserves a dream." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks as she pressed the box to her heart. She ran inside and woke her daughter. The joy that lit up Emma's face when she saw the doll was pure magic, the kind of joy that could melt even the coldest hearts. For weeks, Sarah tried to find out who had sent it, but no one came forward. She kept working hard, grateful yet still buried in financial struggle. One morning, she was called to the CEO's office. Panic gripped her. Had she done something wrong? Was she about to lose the one job that kept them afloat? But when she stepped inside, Andrew Elliott looked up from his desk with a calm smile. "Sarah," he began softly, "I wanted to thank you for what you do here. Your work ethic is incredible." She stammered, unsure how to respond. Then he added, "I know what it's like to grow up with very little. My mother raised me alone too. People helped us when we had nothing. I believe it's time I returned that kindness." He handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was an offer, a position in the company's cafeteria with better pay, regular hours, and benefits. Sarah was speechless. She could barely speak through her tears. He told her the promotion came not from pity, but because he saw potential in her, someone who showed up every day, worked hard, and never complained despite the odds. For the first time in years, Sarah felt hope bloom inside her like spring after a long, cruel winter. Over the next months, her life began to change. With the stable income, she moved to a small but clean apartment with a working heater and a tiny balcony where Emma could play. Every morning, she packed lunch for her daughter, dropped her at school, and walked to work with a smile that came from deep within her soul. She no longer hid her story. She shared it proudly with the women she worked with, reminding them that even in the darkest nights, there are stars waiting to be seen. One afternoon, as Sarah served coffee in the company cafeteria, she overheard a young intern complaining about how unlucky his life was because he didn't get the latest phone model. She smiled gently and told him, "Luck doesn't always come wrapped in shiny paper. Sometimes it's a second chance you didn't know you needed." The intern looked puzzled, but later that day, he saw Sarah's name featured in the company's internal newsletter, Employee of the Month, from cleaner to cafeteria manager. Her story had spread, inspiring others across the company to donate to a fund supporting single parents who worked in lower-income positions. Andrew Elliott had started the initiative himself, in Sarah's name. The fund grew. And so did Sarah's confidence. She began taking evening classes to finally chase her old dream, baking. With the company's support, she started a small in-house bakery section in the cafeteria called Emma's Treats. Her muffins sold out every morning. Employees loved them not just for the taste, but for the love that went into every bite. Andrew would often stop by, buy one, and say with a kind smile, "Your daughter's proud of you, Sarah." Then came a day Sarah would never forget. The company was hosting its annual charity gala, an event attended by celebrities, investors, and top executives. Sarah was asked to cater desserts for the night. Nervous but excited, she poured her heart into every cake, cookie, and pastry. When the night came, she stood quietly behind the service table in a simple white dress, watching as people praised her work. Toward the end of the evening, Andrew took the stage. "Tonight," he announced, "we're honoring someone whose courage and perseverance remind us why kindness matters." He spoke of a woman who faced hardship with dignity, who never stopped believing in love and hope. And then, in front of everyone, he called her name, Sarah Thompson. The crowd applauded as she stepped onto the stage, trembling, overwhelmed. Andrew handed her a check, a grant to open her own small bakery, fully funded by the company's kindness initiative. "For you and Emma," he said softly, "you've taught us that real success isn't about wealth, it's about the hearts we touch along the way." That night, as Sarah walked home with the check in her hand and tears streaming down her face, she looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." The same stars that once watched her cry in despair now watched her smile in gratitude. She turned the key to her apartment door, where Emma slept peacefully beside her Barbie doll. And for the first time in years, Sarah didn't feel afraid of tomorrow. Months later, her bakery, Emma's Dreams, opened on a cozy corner downtown. The smell of warm pastries filled the air, and the sign on the door read, "Baked with love, served with hope." People came not just for the sweets, but for the story behind them. Sarah's hands that once scrubbed office floors now created art with sugar and flour. Andrew occasionally visited, bringing flowers for the shop window. He always said the same words before leaving. "You didn't just change your life, Sarah. You reminded us all what kindness can do." And every night, before closing the bakery, Sarah would look at her daughter playing with that same Barbie doll and smile. The doll that once represented something she couldn't afford had become a symbol of everything she'd gained: love, dignity, hope, and a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can change an entire life. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Let the world know that kindness still exists and second chances are real. And before you go, comment below: kindness can change lives. Let's see how many hearts still believe in it.